Hey, welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. I'm Mike. You got Massey giving his beautiful face a show to you guys. If you're on Spotify, you're on Apple Podcasts, you probably got to check the podcast out on YouTube just to see this beauty, this marvel, those chiclets. Anybody remember chiclets? Our older fans, they remember.
What the heck is that?
What? Do not forget to go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Check out the new blog site, blog section, page, whatever you want to call it. Check that out. Leave comments. Do that. Merch. Get your merch.
Boom.
Look at Massey shit.
Get yourself some merch. We got a lot of merch here. We got a lot of merch. But guys, first, a word from our president.
Yeah,
the president of the United States of America.
We want to honor you with the words of the man leading this country.
How much of the supply of vaccines for these small children is there, and how many of the nation's kids will you be able to get vaccinated before you need more money from Congress?
Well, we'll get through at least this year. We do need more money. But we don't just need more money for vaccines for children eventually.
Can't even get through his
words. We need
words.
more money to plan for the second pandemic.
Did you hear that?
Another pandemic.
A second pandemic.
Think ahead. And that's not something the last outfit did very well. That's something we've been doing fairly well.
It's Trump's
That's why
fault.
we need the money.
Trump didn't do it well.
I just want to.
He didn't prepare for the second pandemic.
You know what's crazy is I'm listening to this going, they're all sitting in the back going, no, Joe, no, Joe, no.
I would love to be a fly on the wall with his handlers because guaranteed there's one of them just whapping his head against the wall as Biden talks. It's dunk,
Yeah.
dunk, dunk.
How much longer,
Oh,
guys?
golly.
Let's go.
I went to school for 6 years for this.
But
Oh.
I think what's not a joke is they're talking about a second pandemic right after the first one. You know, it's
Isn't
like
it funny?
it's crazy because like then you'll get the apologists out there that'll say for him, there's always a pandemic. It's like, yeah, maybe once every 10 years, and we don't have to shut down a nation for it.
And let me ask you this: a president who, I don't mean this as an insult, but who is competent and with it. A president who's on top of his game. Let's just say that Biden's just not on top of his game. Is that
No,
generous?
That's a very generous statement. I love that. That is a 0% success rate, by the way. I don't mean this as an insult. All crap.
It's an insult. But you get a guy like Trump. You think Trump's going to be, well, we need more money for the next pandemic? No, he's going, no, we're moving forward. We're getting past this. We're going on. You know, we're confident.
And
in
any
what
good
we're
leader
doing.
does that.
Yeah.
No matter what crisis, no matter what, we're going to avert that by faith, by the Spirit of God, whatever, we're going to walk through this thing. And so already they're talking about a second, which means more government authority. This is what they want. And we got to stand against it, folks. That's why we educate. So
Yeah, and we just wanted to point this out to you guys.
Yeah,
that this is being said.
it is being said. And you know what? They're doing it on other fronts too. Gun laws, red flag laws, all these other things, right? And we saw like here, what we're going to talk about real fast before we get into the meat and potatoes of this is Rand Paul is actually now shooting for amendments that block red flag laws or that block all these things that are hindrance against the Second Amendment.
Right. And the reason we wanted to even talk about this was at least Rand Paul noticed. Nobody else seemed to notice.
Yeah, dude, it's like
Yeah.
this dude just standing, man.
And so we got to give credit where credit is due, because at least he stands. At least he's trying to stop the wave, so to speak, which you may have noticed plenty of Republicans have come out in total bipartisan support of this bill, because Republicans, the establishment Republicans, which we as conservatives, we all kind of have our like, well, this is exactly why. They never win. They lose
They
by
never take
lesser
ground.
degrees.
They never take ground.
They
Never.
just lose less
Not
ground.
the establishment Republicans. Yeah, they never win.
What you got, Elijah?
So Governor Kathy Hochul, I think that's
Hochul?
how you
Hochul. Yeah.
Hochul?
however you say her name.
All right, Biden.
She tweeted out, right.
It's Hochul.
I'm sorry.
Guys, be praying for me, man.
Lord forgive us.
Gosh, Lord, I should have
really
done that. I
suffering
should have done
from,
that.
I'm right in here.
You know why we
suffering.
don't like to make fun is because it's so easy to, and everybody
Oh.
does it. So forgive me. I should
Yeah.
not have done that.
This is a hard one. Sorry,
That was my bad.
Easy, go
my
ahead.
bad. Easy E.
So she tweeted out yesterday or the day before It's outrageous that at a moment of national reckoning on gun violence, the Supreme Court has recklessly struck down a New York law that limits those who can carry concealed weapons.
And James Woods actually shot back at her and basically said, yeah, this is coming from somebody who has 8 armed guards. You? Nope.
Yeah, they're concealed too. And you're in an armored car.
It's also funny how, like,
Oh my gosh.
it's funny how Trump breathes and people are yelling for his impeachment.
Yeah,
but
he's
Biden
letting
can
up
bring
gas,
gas up to
poisonous-
$9 a gallon, and nobody even bats.
Just
an eye.
follow him. That's
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
got to
yeah.
do.
But it's Russia. It's Russia's fault.
Putin.
It's Putin.
It's Putin.
You guys get with it. It's Putin. You gotta get
It's
with it.
because of Trump.
And if we
we
don't pass the law, we're gonna die. Folks are gonna die.
You know what you're reminding me of? That like TikTok or whatever? Because kids aren't getting presents from the North Pole.
Yeah, they're just we need $750 million.
We need $9 trillion for the budget. For
Oh my
presents
gosh!
for kids.
There eventually comes a point where it's like,
Fell
okay,
off the
Lord.
cliff.
No, right, we are. This whole podcast is just crashing
Fell
and
off the
burning
cliff.
right now. But it's like eventually you got to see through the eyes of the Lord and say, you know what? This is actually God showing us how wicked we've allowed our political system to be.
Right.
But secondly, if we see this the right way, the opportunity to change this political system to the things of God. Now, I know there's nefarious people running things in the background, like, and people be like, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Okay, cool. You can't do this without some kind of plan. There's a plan going on to try to destroy America. It's always been
Right.
there since the beginning, right? So, and I've always said this. We've always said this as a ministry. If America falls, which it could, you know what I mean? Because it's not about America. It's not about a land. It's about the idea of liberty, right? So liberty exists in the heart of man. I don't put my trust in America. I put my trust in what God gave me, which is my rights, right? My authority, right? His authority through me, all those other things. Like God has given me autonomy. He's given us all sovereignty. So just because a man says, well, this is what the law says, I don't care what your law says. If it's against the autonomy of God that he gave me and against the rights that he gave me, it's not law. And it confers no rights. It imposes no duties, our founders said. So I don't care what you say. This is why we need to be educated and stand against it. The problem is people want to get educated, but when it comes to standing, they get afraid. And we can't be afraid. And, you know, this may come off to some as saying, oh, my gosh, he's just doing this for political gain, or this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And you know what? We're all going to die. It's like, okay, cool. Then you will.
Then go die.
Then you will. No,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what you believe is what will become. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, folks. I'm not believing we're going to die. I believe I'm going to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of living.
Yeah.
And that may take a lot of bad things to happen because we're seeing bad things happening now. I do believe that the righteous will stand, that we have not seen the righteous begging for bread. I believe God is on the behalf of the righteous, but we will see some things that are not pretty. And I'm talking about, we're going to go through some tough times, guys. It is what it is. But if we're with the righteous, God will protect us. And he's always protected his remnant.
And that's where the strength comes from. The strength comes in the faith and conviction of your hope, right? You put your hope in the Lord, not in the country. And that's something that we as conservatives, as constitutionalists, as Christians, we've got to get past this idea that America is the end goal. America is not the end goal. America is the blessing. And if we
that was the end,
if we see the blessing over the Lord,
ooh, come on,
then we're in trouble.
Then we are in trouble.
So if we put America ahead of the Lord, which the finger gets pointed at us in the wrong way from the other side, that you guys just worship America and you're just trying to fit God into it. That's not what's going on. We believe that America is a blessing given to us from the Lord. And so therefore we want to protect and uphold this blessing. The problem comes when we decide, well, blessing at all costs. And we start compromising on the Lord.
That's good.
We start compromising on conviction, on principle, on character in order to save the blessing.
Ooh, that's good.
Let the blessing leave. Keep with the Lord.
Yeah. What if the blessing is turned into an idol? You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's exactly.
And so we got to be careful, right? Because when we talk, we don't talk about just America. We talk about its political structure. The political structure was pretty divinely done. I'm not saying it's like the Bible. Okay. I'm not saying that all the stuff was done with this crazy inspiration where nothing contradicts itself. The founders constantly contradicted themselves. I mean, as far as each other, I should say, not themselves personally. Some did, but a lot of them were at odds with each other because they wanted to see what liberty was and how much should a government do, how much shouldn't it do, all these other things. And when we talk about the political system itself. Like the purpose of the Constitution was to rein in government. It wasn't to rein in the American citizen. The American citizen was supposed to be free and let the states do what they need to do. So let the counties and the cities and do those things, do what they want to do. And if they start stripping your rights, then you shouldn't have to fight a federal government.
Mhm.
You should be fighting locally. The federal government was supposed to be so small, we wouldn't even know what they're doing except for treaties and things like that. But we shouldn't have to be fighting against the federal government and IRSs and the Department of Educations and Supreme Courts. Like our thing was our local government is controlled by us. That's the way it should have been. And the state government should be fighting against the federal government. But what happens when they're in cahoots? There's no more interposition. There's no more someone fighting for us. Now we have to fight back, right? So we got to take back our cities. It's all step by step, guys. Take back our cities, take back our counties, then our counties and our state, then to the federal. And it's an uphill battle, guys. But
and tension between you and your government isn't necessarily a bad thing,
right?
But that tension should honestly be where the government says that's not my power. I can't do that.
And yes, it's always going to be contentious because in faith we have peace with one another, but government is not faith.
No,
government is an entity,
and that peace, that contentious peace, is actually healthy because you keep each other sharp. The problem is when you become enemies and there's no longer contentious. Faith,
exactly.
Right. And what we've seen in the political divide is exactly that, where it's no longer contentious faith. Like at least 70 years ago, for the most part, the political parties kind of had the same ideals, the same beliefs that they were shooting for. It was just a little bit different way in how they were going to do it. Now, completely different beliefs and standards because the progressive left have truly taken the position that Western civilization, America, is inherently evil and must be removed, which is complete opposite of the right and the conservatives who believe, no, this is good, this is powerful, this is strong, we need to retain it, we just need to reform it a little bit. And that
I love that.
Once you hit that point, that total tribalism,
100%.
So you were talking about local, changing things, influencing things on the local level. We want to talk about California a little bit because we were just there and we saw it firsthand. Now, little disclaimer to all of our California friends. This is not to just take the baseball bat to you. And this is not to just point the finger from Florida and say, hey, look how awful California is. Somebody had brought up the idea of use California as an example of a warning. And so what we're going to go through is just some of the stuff that has happened and is going on in California, so you get an idea of where governance goes wrong. And then we're going to give you ideas of how to be able to take care of it. Make sense?
I love it.
We good? Let's roll. So
by the way, this was from a Californian.
Yes.
So don't get mad at us.
Yeah.
Get mad at that California, which will not disclose their names.
No.
For fear of you retaliating against them.
Their name was Nancy Pelosi. You can go ahead and get a hold of her. Send complaints to Nancy Pelosi.
I think Biden thinks he's from California. Yeah, it's next to California. I'm from Delaware. Right next to California. This is bad.
We're
I'm all over the place right now, man.
50 Hail Marys.
Lord, please. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So
I don't know what's going on, guys. It's just a weird morning.
I think you hit a point where you see incompetence and lies being shoved down your throat so much that it's like, I can't help but mock what you think I'm buying. You know what I mean? Like,
Truth.
You
I
think
agree.
I'm stupid to where I think this is legitimate. So all I can do is mock this in order to show you I know how full of crap you are.
It's almost.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
It's almost like looking at the McDonald's menu and knowing that you're not going to get what's up there. Yes. McDonald's sells you that advertisement of that beautiful burger. Like, this is what you're going to get. And we all stand in line going, no, I'm going to get something thrown together by a 15-year-old. Wrap. Throw, you know
what that 15-year-old's thinking? I'm only getting paid $10 an hour.
Whatever.
It is.
Why do I bother?
an hour.
Although that 15-year-old is fighting for $15 an hour, so
that'll get him a living wage after all that. I'm sorry, I'm drinking coffee here. He got me right on camera, just reaching for my coffee right now. Hey, what are you doing, man? What's wrong with you? Oh,
now you're on 24/7.
This whole thing's off the rails.
Yes,
fellas.
it is. Here we go. So
But
I'm going to blast through some of these stats because I got like a page and a half of this junk.
Well, we got to go through it quickly.
Yes, we do.
Guys, before we continue,
we got to go through this quickly. By the way,
guys, we want to extend a heartfelt happy birthday to
so in California, in the
our co-host here, Michael Sonneveld. Everybody, Everybody, before we continue that, I got him a present.
Oh, goodness. I already had one.
Can we see this? I went and purchased this. Beautiful donut. No. Leave it, because I don't want you to get out of focus.
You know what?
Everybody, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miguel Sanibel,
Ooh,
the
the
best
Mexican
CEO in the world, who did all of our courses. He's really smart, speaks all over the country. He's an author. If you want to speak at your event, he can do it. Just contact us. Happy birthday to you.
That was beautifully awful, guys. Thank you so much.
That was the beautiful letdown right there.
No, that was. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's only 52, so guys, we wish him well.
I'm 52 and I look 65.
That's right. What are you, 36?
Yeah.
Woo! 36.
You nailed it.
Come on, baby. All right, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. So, in other news, I appreciate it. So, in California, I'm going to skip through that and I'm going to go right to this. So, the state back in the 60s built a beautiful, awesome, wonderful water system. Do you know it remains the same as it was in the 1960s? The roads are in horrible shape and reported to get worse. 678 dams are considered to be high hazard potential. Some estimates claim that the state's unfunded infrastructure needs are possibly as high as $765 billion. And when we were there, we noticed construction roads were awful.
They were terrible, dude.
It was awful.
The amount of garbage on the roads, it's just disgusting.
Schools have an estimated capital expenditure gap of $3.2 billion. State owes a lot of money. In 2017, the total owed by state and local governments is said to be around $2.3 trillion. Hoover Institute estimates there's over $1 trillion in pension liability alone, which we have seen in the past years. The pensions of especially public employees, outrageous. 120% of their salary, all based on a promise of future stock market earnings. So, of course, when you see the stock market doing what it is today, all of a sudden your pension gets much, much bigger, right? And so this number was about $76,000 per household. Their taxes, legal system, and climate law make some of it make it one of the most regulated places in the country and most likely the world. They're among the highest tax states in the nation. So their top income tax rate is 13.3%. Oregon is next with 9.9%. Oregon doesn't have a sales tax, while California has the 10th highest sales tax. Not only that, but it only takes $52,000 to qualify for a rate of 9.3%.
How do people live there?
I don't know.
And how are they surviving?
I don't know. That's what gets me. Less than 150,000 people pay half of all income tax out of 39 million people. Soak the rich. I think you're soaking the rich
severely, and they're not soaking enough, apparently.
No, they need more money. California has the highest debt to income ratio. They rank dead last in quality of life. They are run for the really rich, really poor, and public employees. Illegals are provided for and welcomed into the state. Forest fires, droughts, and pollution plague the state. Lack of controlled burning due to environmentalists complaining. Lack of logging, again, environmentalists, and lack of thinning have all contributed to the out-of-control wildfires that have become commonplace. Do not tell me it's climate change. The fact that the environmental regulations in the climate change activism sector have shut down controlled burning, shut down thinning, shut down forestry logging. What do you think is going to happen with forests that are full of dead trees, which are combustible? It starts fires, especially when you're in a land that suffers from severe droughts.
Should ask President Joe Biden. It's because of the trees. They don't get enough air. When they don't get enough air, they start to burn. And we needed $750 million from the federal government.
Burning trees is good. Wait, burning trees is bad. What am I supposed to say?
Wait, what are they burning? We used to burn things when I was 18.
Corn Pop and I.
This is going bad to worse, man.
So the drought conditions could be considered out of their control, but of course the water that is available gets taken from the farming communities. So this has happened around the major cities, especially Los Angeles. They have outvoted the farming communities to take their water. That's good. Take water from your crops because that'll turn out well. Major cities like San Francisco have instituted extremely burdensome housing regulations. I saw one city when I was doing this research, they had a housing development that has been in the permit hell process for over 50 years. 50 years of trying to get a permit to build a housing development. And then you set in rent control, which every economist worth their salt, even liberal progressive economists say rent control is the worst idea ever.
Stupid.
Anyways, let's go on to other stupid stuff. Officials impose road diets, which eliminate traffic lanes and focus on bicycle paths because, you want to ride your bike from San Francisco to LA. That's a smart move. We all know about the homelessness problem throughout. The poop problems in San Francisco, the theft problems due to stealing up to $950 worth of merch as a misdemeanor, which it's so funny. I saw an article that said, well, $950, they're not getting away with it. That's not what the law said. It just turned it from a felony to a misdemeanor. Well, let's explore this whole idea of actually convicting on misdemeanors. These progressive DAs don't actually charge anybody. San Fran's DA, who actually just got recalled, secured only 3. Yes, you heard me right. 3 drug dealing convictions in 2021. How many thefts under $950 do you think that guy is going to convict people on? Wow. If he's not even doing drug dealing offenses. Thankfully, Chase Boudin got recalled, but not before San Fran continued its spiral into apocalyptic nightmare hell. Unfortunately, the police aren't any better. They're incompetent and scandal-ridden. They clear less than 9% of their cases, which I'm sure at that point, when you have a DA who's not going to do anything, why bother arresting people?
I think that's it. So some of the police force may be incompetent, but I think some just feel like their hands are tied behind their back with all the red tape. And if you look at someone the wrong way, it's racism. If you know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't want to be a cop in this
in this era anymore. No, gosh, no. That's why when kids ask me about the military, it's like, gosh, you want that? You're going to get harpooned in the arm every 20 days. It seems like they're going to give you some new vaccine or something like that. And then, I think the other thing too is going to war, fighting these things without any objective. What are we doing? So
that's one thing that's caught me about the whole military thing. And I know this is a little bit off track, but part of me always wished I would have gone into the military, and the other part of me is glad because I don't want to fight wars for who's in charge right now.
Yeah. And we would do it for love of country. And I always said that too. Thank God, I wish I would have. My brother was in the military for 13 years. We honor, respect him. I love him.
Absolutely.
It's not that. It's just your leadership for how long now?
Yeah.
Well over 20 years, 30 years has just been incompetent when it comes to fighting wars.
Constant wars.
Yeah, constant wars. And we don't have objectives for them. And I, a lot of veterans have told us that. And it's the same thing with the police force. It's like you're getting hampered. And then they cry out, where were the cops? You know what I mean? Like what's going on in Texas right now with that school shooting?
Yeah.
Cops were told to stand down. They actually have literal video evidence of the cops being in the building told to stand down.
They had ballistic shields. They had body armor. They had the fully automatic weapons. They had everything they needed. And now it's coming out that the doors weren't even locked. And they were told to stand down. And I think what's most frustrating is every single one of them did. None of them
challenged it.
None of them disregarded the order and said, I'll deal with the consequences. There's lives at stake.
That is tough. And then now, what is it? The school's police superintendent now has been, I think, put on leave right now because so there's some things, but it's like, you got to wonder, oh my gosh, it was the gun. No, it was these incompetent people who are running these governments. Yeah. And I have my theory and opinion on these things as far as like, I believe a lot of this is, let's just see what'll happen. Let's just get some press out of this. And yeah, that sounds evil, but if you don't think evil exists, you're not paying attention. There's demonic crap out there, and it's happening. Just like Biden saying there's going to be a second pandemic, just like the first pandemic, shutting down an entire globe, right? And now we're feeling the repercussions and consequences. Just like they're telling us 3,000 cattle die because of heat wave, but yet it didn't happen in Arizona, which was 10 to 20 degrees so much hotter, right? And so all of a sudden, we've never seen this before, right? But we're just going to believe it magically because of this. Now we have something called sudden adult death syndrome.
I've been hearing about
that. Sudden adult death syndrome, right? Because they just fall dead. People just
heart complications.
Complications.
I don't understand.
Yeah, they're never going to trace it back to the vaccines, which we said for a long time, way before anybody was putting it out there. I'm telling you, you're going to watch people drop dead. You're going to watch it.
It's going to happen.
And dude, this is what happens where government, if you don't believe government is evil, and it can be evil, I should say, Not that government is evil
All
because
government is evil.
Right. Government
Just-
is created by God, but
Right.
when evil, nefarious men get in that government, guess what happens? Right. So that's what we're seeing right now.
And to go along with that demonic sense, this is what happens with the demonic. The demonic causes a wicked action and then stirs you up against each other and pushes its solution, right? So we look at this whole thing. If we wanted to say there was a demonic agenda on this whole school shooting thing, kill a bunch of kids, demon wins. Then turn around and start the solution to the process is to disarm the populace, removing any line of defense between the people and the government, which then gives the government more power, more authority, more oppressive potential.
Truth.
Right? How is that not a demonic process?
Totally. In demonic processes, it'll say this, whereas scriptures say we must be in unity with one another in the body, right? Love one another as you love yourself. One of the things that we got to get across with Christianity is it's not that I'm divided against the people. They're divided against the Lord.
Right.
Now, I'm out of that picture. They hate him. They don't hate me. They hate him. Right. If they're wicked. Right. So my job is to reconcile them to God. So that's why I spend time with the sinner, the publican, whatever, the tax collector, the way Jesus did. Right. That's our job. We're not supposed to be separate from them. We're supposed to be separate from the world and the influence of the world, but not the people. We're supposed to preach the gospel. The flip side of this is when something like this happens, they use division to try to create unity. So we must divide each other first. And then if you don't align with either one, you're not in unity.
Right.
That is not scriptural. That is not, it's demonic.
Yep.
It's heavily demonic. And you want to know how you're in the flesh when you fall into that. Well, we're all divided until you come and accept what I say, then we're united. In Christianity, I'm still your brother. We're still a race. We're still a creation. I'm not going to hate you, right? I'm not foolish, right? But you're divided against God, not me.
And we war against principalities.
Yeah, not flesh and blood.
Not flesh and blood.
Come on, dude.
And that is so
Praise God.
significant.
Good scripture. Thank you.
So significant to remember because every time you start to point the finger at a single person or a group, remember you're warring against principalities, spiritual places. You're not warring against the flesh because the flesh, especially somebody who is not saved, is the potential puppet of the spiritual realm. You know,
I think you got two or three more points on the last page. I really want you to hit before we end this.
So
going back to California, it's right here.
Yeah.
California is a prime example. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
It says California is a prime example of what an amazing economy and authoritarian government officials can do when they mix. When you have literally Silicon Valley, you have these huge industries, Hollywood, right? And they become perverted and corrupt, right? And then you have government officials coming in saying, we know better for you than you. And all of you guys who want to live in the lap of luxury, we'll just take care of it for you if you give us money. This is exactly what's happening. This is why California's turned into what it's turned into, right? Because we got lazy, right? So I should say they, in a lot of ways, in those states, and most of our states have too, right? We got lazy. We just spent it on government. But over there, it's just like it took a turn for the worst. And then they keep taxing, right? Now businesses are leaving because of all the regulation, right? You're the ones destroying it. And then the fact that Newsom even suggested an exit tax was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I want to go to this whole idea of like one of the problems that California faces that is unique is their wealth of resources and potential. So the beauty of that is the voters are recognizing the mess that's been caused by regulation and all of that. But think about this. Think about how California is set up. Okay. You have a state that has so much in terms of population, money, and resources. You've got a beautiful coastline that is both majestic and is great for trade from Asia to there to California. You have vast forests for logging. You have all kinds of climates. You've got environment. You've got natural resources. You have oil that you're not allowing yourself to tap. And you have a population, the Silicon Valley, you have a high intelligence population. The problem is these liberal policies, these progressive policies, such as open borders, giving handouts to everybody, trying to raise taxes just to do more and more and more that the government shouldn't be involved in.
Bingo.
Destroys your opportunities and your potential.
Good call, dude.
You know?
Come on.
And then it's the double down effect. So the progressive will say, oh, this is getting worse. They don't think it's their policy. They think, well, I just need to throw more money at the problem and that'll help. You know, and one of the examples of that is this whole homeless thing. Where did I put it? So in the homelessness, and I'll talk about it this way. I don't mean this as an insult, but progressives don't tend to think more than one step ahead. They see the immediate problem Let's solve the immediate problem. So for homelessness, what the progressive loves is the idea of, well, let's build houses for the homeless people. Your heart, I'll consider your heart.
I admire
good.
it.
I admire that. You want to take care of the homeless. You want to give them a house. Here's the problem. You build the house, which of course comes in over budget, over time, because it's government contracts and all that. But you build the house, you put the homeless guy in there. Who's taking care of that house?
Right.
Who's repairing the roof? Who's checking for mold? Who's checking for termites? Who's handling it? Who's cleaning it up?
How do you know these homeless guys are taking care of it?
They're not. And that's the problem, right? Is the vast majority of time, these homeless people have other issues that they haven't solved. It's that whole Jordan Peterson, clean your room, make your bed idea. You put the homeless guy in the house, he's going to destroy it because he hasn't figured out how to handle his life properly. You got to train him how to handle his life before you give him a massive responsibility like a house.
Yeah, you remember our friend Rick, right? Who took a kid into his house, and
oh my gosh.
just that whole, like, he just trying to do the right thing. Hey, give this kid a room, blah, blah, blah. Kid ended up destroying the room. Dude, literally, he couldn't take care of himself.
He couldn't.
Feces on the bed, the
physically
whole
could not care for
weird
himself.
stuff. And he was like, eventually, okay, buddy, it's time for you to find a new place. I mean, Rick tried, it was a nice place, nice room, nice everything, right? It's like, if they don't know and they're not trained to take care of themselves, they're not going to take care of that thing that we give them.
And so then we spend more and more money trying to upkeep it for them. It's just like, why is you as a parent, why would you want to continue to take care of your 40-year-old?
Now, the progressive will say, well, then what do we do then? There's a big homeless problem, right?
Yes,
there is. So this is why it's civic groups. This is why it's Kiwanis programs. This is why it's nonprofit organizations that need to get together and say, hey, how do we help the homeless crisis? We build these homes, right, in the name of, Habitat for Humanity, whatever. But then we put people there to help them.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you see government try to control the civic groups and the nonprofits and the Christian groups from being able to do their job the way they see fit. You can't proselytize. You can't get the gospel.
I find it funny if a nonprofit overspent and went over time, right, and went over budget, the government will come against them because you didn't spend. Yeah. You spent the money unwisely. You weren't doing this right, but yet government's never checked when they do it.
No, of course not.
So this is why we complain and this is why we stand against it. This is why we continue to do what we do, is because when government does it, somehow it's okay. When we do it, it's not okay. That's called tyranny, folks. Mm-hmm. When government can do it and you can't. And somehow, some way, these politicians think that they're angels, like they have holiness or something above what the American people have themselves.
It's that expert syndrome. We've really hit the expert syndrome phase where unless you're a quote unquote expert, you can't, I am the science, like that's so climactic. That's so climactic of this whole situation. It's so indicative of it. If they're not in a position of power or they're not considered an expert, they can't know. You can't have an opinion.
And this goes for every state too. Sabatini, when he was on the conference in January, we had him on the podcast and stuff. He flat out said, "Do you think Florida is like this bastion of liberty? There's really only 3 or 4 guys, including DeSantis, who are like standing against the tyranny that's going on in Florida, and it's really local governments that are standing. It's not like Florida has it all together. That we have a bunch of non-rhinos, dude. There are rhinos everywhere, and he stands against them constantly. He actually calls them out." Because these guys are rhinos and they're not standing for conservative values. So don't think because we see Florida as a national spotlight that all of a sudden we got this like whole bastion of freedom. No, it took a strong governor and a few senators to say, stop, like we need to stop this, right?
And as a warning, California was a Republican stronghold until like 1992. Now look at it. So if we don't think that Florida or Texas could swing into this mess, man, our eyes are closed. And this is where that call of action, that sense of hope comes from, is you have the power to turn it around.
You do.
What needs to happen is you got to stop voting for the Mitch McConnells of the world. Stop voting for these people that are just Republican shills that are just in it for the money. You have to start seeking out the guys like Sabatini, like DeSantis, like Rand Paul. I don't care if you don't like Rand Paul because he has a couple of libertarian views. Tell me he doesn't stand on conviction a lot more than your boy Mitch McConnell. Nobody likes McConnell. How the heck does he keep getting in there? Right? And so I know that doesn't sound encouraging, but I have to be passionate about this because we have to change our mindset on who we're voting for.
100%.
Stop just voting down ticket. You got to seek out, find those people. And guess what? When you get in the stream of the true conservative constitutional lane, you start to hear about the people who are actually going to stand, right? The fact that we're in this whole pond and we're swimming in this pond, we hear about those people who've got integrity, those people who are going to stand right, people like Jenna Haig, people like Amy Pritchett.
We're excited, and we'll have Amy on here soon as well to do a live with us because we want you to meet your candidates. We had Jennifer Russell on here. She was amazing. Just had Sam Sorbo. Again, I'm so excited. We need to have a couple of other potential senators that are running to come on as well. Because we want you to know your candidates. We want you to know these are the people we back. We're standing with them. We want you to see what they vote for. Now, we're not going to, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't agree with every Republican who I think is a conservative, right? Some people are really, really, really idolatrous, I think, in a lot of ways, but like as far as like what they believe, but I have to like see past all that and say, okay, how can I be an influence in their lives? Number one. Number two, what's going to be the best for the nation, right? Yeah. I look at the founders and how different they were, right? Not all of them agreed on everything, but they worked together. So it's like right now I got to kind of put some things, and I had some really good friends talk to me about this. Like, you got to quit being so rigid, you know? And yes, I won't compromise on many things, but there are certain things that say, okay, if that's going to move the ball back to where conservative, okay, I got to do that because they'll staunchly defend that. I know that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we'll go there. Right. And so we got to really keep our eye on the prize. We got to ask the Lord what's going on and how we should be sharp. And so if you haven't subscribed, you finish it out. It's your birthday. It's your freaking birthday.
If you haven't subscribed, be sure.
He hasn't eaten his donut, by the way.
I already had one.
Eat one. Eat it. Eat it while you're talking.
You see this peer pressure in here?
Eat it while you're talking because I want to hear you talk with your mouth full.
No,
seriously, do it.
I hate the sound of me chewing and other people chewing. I'm one of those. There's like, I don't know, 30% of us that like, I want to punch people who chew. So
go on to newstuffotherthanfoods.com. Find out more information about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and why you need to watch the show. I just ate Mike's birthday donut.
I can't wait for people in the comments to be, I hate hearing people eat. Desubscribe. So go out and subscribe. As a birthday present to me, go check out the blog.
Nice plug.
Like that?
Come on, man.
Because I write half of them. So leave comments. Let us know what you think. I did one on Elon Musk that I thought was pretty interesting. I liked that one. I've got another one that's coming out about this whole Jane's Revenge thing. I got to get that to Elijah today. So Elijah, you will see that today. Other than that, pick out the merch. Check out the merch. Check out Spotify, Apple Tunes, Facey Space, the Twatters, and all the other stuff. Be sure to check it out. Guys, we love you. Have a great day. We'll see you later. Love you guys. Ending shot.
That was perfect. Twatters.